question that we are asking this evening is this an overreach by the opposition? Is this an unwarranted controversy? You can also join our debate. You can see the hashtags that we are using, and we'd love to hear your views as well. Let me now bring in another guest who takes this discussion forward. We have the national spokesperson of the BJP, RP Singh. We have senior editor of Swaraj magazine, Tushar Gupta. We have senior fellow of the ORF, Sushant C. We have political analyst, Ahmed Ayaz. And we also have a fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute, Maximilian Hess. Good to have all of you on the broadcast with us. RP Singh, I'd like to begin the debate and discussion with you. The opposition, with the likes of the Congress and the PDP and others, are saying today, yes, while many are celebrating the tenure of Rishi Sunak, seeing the diversity with which, United Kingdom has gone forward and elected their leader, but what about India? There are many lessons for India to learn today as well.
Well, they governed this country for almost 56 years out of 75 years. And they had all the chance. They could have made Muslim Prime Minister, which they are talking about. But again, they are doing politics. When Gyani Jail Singh was the president of this country. Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, you yourself told the name Zakir Hussain Saab, ABJ Abdul Kalam Saab. They were all president. And then Manmohan Singh was the prime minister, remote controlled by no less than Sonia Gandhi ji. I don't need to define Sonia Gandhi ji. And that's what India has been. We have diversity. We have a president now who hails from the tribal community. So, but they have to create issues because they are looking for a vote bank. I mean, they don't think beyond the prism of green color, and then they don't think beyond the prism of the vote bank. That's the problem. And then they can't come out of it, and they probably think the people still vote us for this reason. Whereas fact is, people have gone across this now. They don't vote for when you probably speak for them or no. They vote for what is being done for them. Whether they are getting roof on their head, whether they are getting toilets at their home, whether they are getting Ayushman Bharat as a scheme, whether getting the Kisan Samman Nidhi or not. That's more important than getting into this, who is the Prime Minister. And then again, Abdullah Sahab was saying, Abdullah Sahab was himself a cabinet minister. Mehbooba's father was a cabinet minister, was a home minister here. Well, they were there because they had the caliber to be here. I mean, they could have been the Prime Minister also. So raising questions out of nowhere and then trying to build up a issue without a reason only for a political objectives or for vote bank objectives would not serve them. They can keep doing it, but ultimately it's not going to help them.
Ahmed Ayaz, I want to bring you in the conversation. When I started the show, I already brought out a list of names of leaders who've held these top positions who came from the minorities. Then why are we creating a controversy when there is none? Also, more importantly, when we're celebrating a minority leader in the United Kingdom, we're celebrating it in 2022. Look at when India got its first leader from the minority.
Basically, let's just express. They are supposed to be replied on. Right? It's not a question of that who all have been there in the comment or at the constitution. It's a matter of Prime Minister with reference to the UK. So with that reference, the question is arisen when the UK could accommodate, then there could be a president from the minority in the UK, while it can't be in the India. Question is like that. So if we say that apart from political and ideological differences, if there is something being said which is true, I think we should accept that. It is safe to say that if someone, irrespective of whether you have differences with him or not, if someone says that a sugar patient does not need to be given the sugar, we have to accept it as true. Likewise, it is true that there had not been a Prime Minister from Muslim community being the second largest community in India. It is equally true. And it is also equally true.
Ahmed Saab, by that logic, The Congress, the Congress had all the time in the world to also go forward and elect a prime minister as far as the minorities are concerned, or let's begin with their own party leadership. I'm just trying to understand that if you're just talking about the time given to the BJP, then there was enough time with the Congress as well.
I don't talk here of the BJP, Congress or anybody. I talk of India as a whole. And more so I can talk about BJP. Why? Because they have been saying Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So even if Congress has not done it, well, there was no slogan of by this. I never mean that I am a supporter of the Congress. I never mean so.
Sure.
But the point is, but the BJP has said that Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, which Congress did not say. So that's what I say, and that too. The BJP being in absolute majority, in a way absolute majority, they can do anything they like. Maybe it must not have been possible for the Congress to do it. And if they have taken Manmohan Singh as a minority prime minister, BJP could have taken as a Muslim prime minister.
Okay.
And today also we say a small example. The J&K is being headed by a lieutenant governor. And then you see even the advisor, one advisor, is also an outsider and non-Muslim. Do you think that the state which has a majority of the majoritarian Muslim majoritarian state, don't you think it could have a local even advisor?
You know, what I'm trying to understand is, while the opposition is pointing fingers, I'm just trying to understand what has stopped them from doing something similar in the past. But RP Singh, the criticism is also this. This is what the Congress has clarified right through the day, that we are not seeing what happened in the past. Yes, we do know that we had a Sikh Prime Minister in the form of Manmohan Singh and a Muslim President in the form of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam and others. But what we are talking about is the current environment of the country. What we are saying is that today when the BJP is in power, you will not have representation from the minorities. And they're giving an example that look at your own Union of Ministers, a Council of Ministers, where is the representation?
Well, that's the problem with the Congress. I mean, let me go back a bit again. I mean, Manmohan Singh was managed and controlled by National Advisory Committee, headed by a Christian woman. So, who was heading? Both were the minorities. And at that time, Abdul Kalam was the president of this country, a Muslim. So, Muslim as the president, the woman who was controlling the government comes from a Christian background.
RP Singh, the Congress is asking, what about representation of the minorities today?
Can I complete?
Sure, go ahead.
Issue is, Mr. Naqvi was the minister till now. There will be someone else coming days whenever, and it's not, again, I'm saying, it's not because that he hails from minority or not. It's the caliber of the person which gets you to the cabinet. And there will be someone else who will come, who will take care of it. But are minorities being taken care or not? I'll give you one example. 2019, when the government, second term of the Prime Minister Modi ji, what was the first decision? Let's give the to taking care of the 5 crore minority students. So it was the decision by the state, the central government only.
You made a very valid point, and I said something.
Give me a second.
One second. RP Singh, I have to get to the other guests also, but you made a very valid point, and this is something that I said when I started the show as well. Tushar, I want to bring you in. What I'm finding very difficult to understand is, one, as I said, if the Congress is saying that will India do something similar, the Congress had ample opportunities. More than that, I want to completely keep this argument aside. I thought till now that if you need to get elected to the top position, merit is what is needed. I didn't think that representation is going to be the headline going forward.
Good evening, Ridhima. Festive greetings to all the viewers of CNN News 18. Look, when I listen to Ahmed Ayaz, he says Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. But when did Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas become sub-prime minister from sub-communities? I don't understand that. Look, I won't mince my words here. Last I checked the constitution, any Muslim could become the Prime Minister of India, provided they can stitch together a coalition with 272 seats or more, or they could win 272 seats on their own. So today my simple question to everyone asking about the minority Prime Minister is this. Find me one Muslim candidate who's good enough to win 272 seats in 2024. Get him into the fight. No one is stopping you. The voters are not stopping you. The Centre is not stopping you. The Election Commission is not stopping you. Heck, the Constitution of India is not stopping you. Go for it. But here's the thing, Ridhima. These people do not want to fight. when they say that the BJP is obligated to make a Muslim as a Prime Minister of India, and they do not mention any other minority, mind you, just one minority, which probably claims all the share and all the rewards reserved for all the other minorities perhaps. Nevertheless, they say that the BJP should go ahead and elect a Muslim as a Prime Minister. I ask why? Isn't a Muslim in India competent enough to win 272 seats on their own? Yes, they are. Then let them get into the fight, let them get into the election, contest and win. Why do you want to hand over them as a grant or a charity? Why do you want the Prime Minister's post to become a charity of sorts that is given away to minority because there is some secularism defined appeasement we have to go for? That's my simple question. You have a Muslim candidate, get him into the fight, make sure he wins 272 seats, and you have your wish granted. That is all. No party is obligated to do anything else. The second point, some would say that Rishi Sunak has not been elected. Rather, he was nominated in a very tricky hour in the British politics. I give you that. Then my question to Congress is, you have been losing state after state. You just had the elections for the party president. I did not see any Muslim name come up. Shashi Tharoor is asking about the minorities in India today. Why couldn't Shashi Tharoor vacate his seat for a Muslim within the party for a party president election? The Congress doesn't.
But you know, Tushar, that's a completely different story, because the Congress will hit back saying that we didn't decide the people who wanted to contest for the party president. It was an open
the people
election.
Decide, Ridhima.
No, but the contenders themselves also have to come forward. So if nobody from the minorities came forward, that's a completely different argument. But Sushant, I want to bring you in. In the middle of all of this back and forth, aren't we completely negating the fact that Rishi Sunak got this position because of his own merit? We've seen the kind of past months in the United Kingdom. Liz Truss was sworn in as the Prime Minister. She was forced to step down within a span of 44 to 45 days. So something must have gone right as in the form of merit for Rishi Sunak.
Ridhima, just allow me a minute before I come to your question.
Sure.
You know, we've seen a whole lot of virtue signaling today over why India cannot have a minority Prime Minister. We've had a minority Prime Minister much before the British had one.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, and more importantly, I think Tushar has made that point. Mr. Farooq Abdullah was saying, will you make me the Prime Minister? There is nobody preventing Mr. Farooq Abdullah from becoming the Prime Minister. But would it not be nice that there are going to be elections in Jammu and Kashmir tomorrow? If both, because both Mr. Farooq Abdullah and Mehbooba Mufti have been doing all this virtue signaling today, have been taking pot shots at India today, would it not be nice if instead of, putting their family members as chief ministerial candidates, they were to nominate either a Kashmiri Pandit or a Hindu Dogra from Jammu as their chief ministerial candidate? Or for that matter, the Congress party, going into the 2024 elections, announces a Muslim as their prime ministerial candidate. They should be brave enough to put their money where their mouth is. And then let's see, whether they're actually serious about all this virtue signaling which they've done today. But to come back to your question, the thing is that when last the election was held in Britain for the Prime Minister, in which Liz Truss actually defeated Rishi Sunak, please see how the Conservative Party, which is full of old, rich, white people, voted. They did not want an Asian person or an Indian origin guy coming into the Prime Minister's chair. It was not because Rishi Sunak was not a better candidate than Liz Truss. It was because it was basically racism which was at play, which is why he lost that election. Why have they brought him back this time? Simply because the markets wanted it. Liz Truss actually messed up the economy even worse than what Boris Johnson had left it. So the markets wanted, somebody who they see as a stable guy, somebody whom they see as a very solid person in Rishi Sunak to come as the Prime Minister. Had they nominated somebody else, the markets would have tanked further. He has come up, he has been made Prime Minister because of his competence, not because somebody is doing him a favor, not because there's virtue signaling. It's the markets and the financial systems which have created his choice. Not because, the British have suddenly become a multicultural society in which race does not matter anymore. That's a whole lot of hogwash. That's utter nonsense. Complete nonsense. Right?
Maximilian, would you agree with the point? Sure. One sec. I just want to bring in Maximilian also. He's been patiently waiting. I thank you for patiently waiting, and sorry I couldn't come to you earlier. But I agree with the point that Sushant is making, and this is a point that many today are making, that if this was a general election, then we probably wouldn't have seen the election of Rishi Sunak. But today also possibly it was the lack of options or whatever it was.
Even within the party. Within the party, when there was an election within the party did not vote for him.
Yeah, okay. Maximilian, I just want to understand this, and this is what I was trying to understand from Sushant as well. When we have a debate like this, aren't we completely doing a disfavor to, or isn't it a disadvantage to Rishi Sunak, who's just taken over, considering the fact that he's proved his mettle in the past? He's been an ex-finance minister, he's worked tirelessly in the past as well. Let's give him credit as to how he's managed to reach this position.
Well, certainly, I don't think that the debate is an inappropriate one to have. It is not my position to comment on what Indian political parties should do, but hearing all the guests, it's quite clear that everybody is open to further political leaders of minority backgrounds, and that's certainly something we should welcome. In the UK, I would slightly disagree that I don't think that Rishi Sunak's Indian heritage was a major negative factor for him in the Conservative election. For that election amongst Conservative Party members, just 160,000 or so people, I believe 140,000 actually voted. He did better than the polls had predicted him in that election. That being said, there is, of course, still racism in the United Kingdom. We shouldn't hide that or disguise that, and there has been, including some inappropriate comments, in my view, from a former Conservative member of the European Parliament. So Rishi Sunak certainly is essentially breaking the glass ceiling and setting a new height for an individual of Indian descent in British politics. But of course, almost all of the other previous senior leaders in UK politics have also been in the Conservative Party.
Okay.
There are a number, the Labour Party as well, and Sarwar, the Pakistani descent, is the leader of the Labour Party in Scotland now. So I think that Britain is getting better at dealing with these issues. I think that, yes, when it comes to a general election, Rishi Sunak may not be the best place to lead it, but that's not because of his heritage. That's because the Conservative Party has mismanaged this country and the views of most voters for a number of years now.
Tushar, I'm running out of time. So I want to understand, when the opposition says that we need to take lessons of diversity, what I'm trying to understand is how have we forgotten as to when these events are happening? When did President Obama come into power? 2009. When did we see Kamala Harris with the Biden presidency? When are we seeing Rishi Sunak in 2022? Have we completely forgotten what we've already seen in India? Shouldn't the debate have been the other way around? Lessons that United Kingdom and the USA can take from India.
Ridhima, on a lighter note, perhaps the Congress never considered Manmohan Singh as its actual Prime Minister. Nevertheless, the one question the opposition also needs to ask is, why has never a Hindu been the CM of a Christian or a Sikh or perhaps a Muslim majority state? That's the one question they should ask, that why was never a CM made in any such state?
Okay.
Before they go on to ask that, what about the minority Prime Minister? That's the one question they should be really asking themselves.
Okay, unfortunately, I've completely...
Can I just say a sentence?
Sushant, 10 seconds. I've completely run out of time.
Just to take off from where Tushar left off, perhaps the Congress should tell us why Mr. Sunil Jakhar, who enjoyed the support of the majority of the legislators when Captain Amrinder Singh left, was sidelined and somebody else was brought in his place. Why? Because he was a Hindu and not a Sikh?
Okay.
And now today we are hearing them do virtue signaling on how a minority cannot become the Prime Minister. So,
Okay.
Let's just step back and let's congratulate Mr. Sunak for his achievement.
Okay.
And remember that he's a British Prime Minister. He's not an Indian who's a Prime Minister of Britain.
Okay. Unfortunately, I've completely run out of time. I appreciate all our guests taking our time and joining us this evening. Taking on from what our guest was saying, a lot really has been said about Rishi Sunak's tenure. But who really is Rishi Sunak, and what does his tenure mean for relations between India and the United Kingdom? Born to parents of Indian descent, Sunak's parents, pharmacists, migrated from East Africa to the UK in the 1960s. Rishi Sunak is married to Infosys chief Narayan Murthy's daughter, Akshata Murthy. But the biggest challenge for Rishi Sunak when he takes over is the economic turmoil that the United Kingdom is currently facing. inflation at an all-time high, pound being battered, and extremely unhappy public on the ground. For his tenure, Rishi Sunak, in his first address as Prime Minister of Britain today, said that he would not leave the next generation in debt. He further went on to say that he will prioritize public needs above politics. Also accepting that mistakes have been made, he clarified that he's been elected as the Prime Minister to fix those mistakes. Let's listen in to what Rishi Sunak had to say after he took over as the Prime Minister.
Some mistakes were made. Not born of ill will or bad intentions. Quite the opposite, in fact. But mistakes nonetheless. And I have been elected as leader of my party and your Prime Minister, in part, to fix them. And that work begins immediately. This will mean difficult decisions to come. Trust is earned, and I will earn yours.
So Rishi Sunak there saying that he will earn the trust and respect of people on the ground. But how easy or how difficult is it going to be for him? We have on the